Achieving your dream physique, making an extra 100 grand in your business, becoming magnetic to all your goals is easy. Right now you're probably binging loads of content on how to level up, how to grow a personal brand, how to make more money, how to grow your business, how to be successful. And by the end of this video, you're going to know the cheat code to be able to do all of that. Whatever actions you take on a day-to-day basis, always match the image that you hold of yourself. If you see yourself as someone who makes 10 grand a month, that is all you will ever make. You're always going to feel like you're fighting against your own behavior. You're fighting against your own mind until you change the underlying self-image. When you rewire and change your identity, the actions you need to do in order to achieve the goal you want will become like second nature to you. You're going to actually start to be buzzing and want to do the things that are required in order to get you to the next level. You're going to want to go out for a run, post content, read, journal, meditate, do all these things that are actually going to help you get to where you want to go. In this video, I'm going to show you how to completely rewire your identity so you're going to be able to achieve any singular goal you want effortlessly. How you can literally get your goals to start chasing you by working on your identity. The first thing we're going to break down is a thing called helmet identity. So at every point in time during the day, you are always either acting as the lowest version of yourself or the highest version of yourself. Your highest version of yourself is the one who keeps all the promises you make to yourself, does the actions that you know you should be doing. They don't procrastinate, they feel whole, they focus on themselves, they know what they need to do, and they're able to take huge action and execute effortlessly. And I'm sure you probably caught glimpses of this version of yourself a couple of times, whether it be for a couple of days, or whether it be for a week, or whether it even be for a couple of weeks. But right now you might feel like that identity just cannot stick and you keep reverting back to that lower level self. The lowest level of you is the one who knows what you need to do, knows the actions you should be taking, but doom scrolls a little bit too much and doesn't take the actions to get them to that next level. They don't stick to their inputs and then they always complain that they don't have the life they want. And this all happens on a subconscious level. So helmet identity is every time you're acting like the lowest version of yourself, you're wearing one color helmet. So right now I want you to give a name to the lowest version of yourself. Mine is Chasing Emma, is my lowest version, and Magnetic Emma is my highest version. For you, it's what would you say one word is to describe the lowest version of yourself? Like what qualities or overarching word kind of summarizes and condenses all the habits and behaviors of that lowest level of yourself? And they're going to be wearing a red helmet. So every time you're acting like the lowest level of yourself and you're embodying their qualities or his qualities, you're wearing a red helmet. Then do the same for the highest version of yourself. I want to give him or her a name. So for me, again, it's Magnetic Emma. For you, it could be Calm name. It could be Disciplined name. It could be Devoted name, whatever it may be, Legend name, whatever it may be for you. And every time you're acting in alignment with that version of yourself, you're going to be wearing a green helmet. This visual aspect really helps you just keep checking in with yourself on a day-to-day basis to see what version of yourself you're actually being. Every time that you're being the lowest level of yourself, you can just visualize yourself wearing that red helmet. And every time you're acting in alignment with the highest version of yourself, you can just visualize yourself wearing that green helmet. Your level of success will never exceed your identity. If you're stuck on a certain income level, you feel like your business is stagnating, it feels like you're unable to make progress in the gym, whatever it may be, it's all got to do with self-concept and identity. So with the helmet identity, this is the gap right here between where you're at and where you want to be. And on a day-to-day basis, you want to continually ask yourself, am I making decisions in alignment with the highest version of myself, or am I making decisions in alignment with the lowest version of myself? And the more you can choose to make decisions in alignment with that highest version of yourself, the smaller and smaller that gap's going to get, and eventually it is going to close. Also, a lot of people don't know the difference between devotion and discipline. You shouldn't have to be disciplined, because if you feel like you have to be disciplined, you're probably out of alignment and your identity is not set right. Because the things that some people will call discipline are just second nature to the people who identify as someone who does those things. For example, someone who identifies as an unfit person, and that is their subconscious identity, going to the gym requires a lot of discipline. But for someone who's a fit and healthy person, go to the gym is just like second nature. It's almost like fun, and it's almost like if they don't do it, they're going to feel like shit. And it really takes more discipline to take a rest day than it does to actually consistently go to the gym. And most people think the reason they haven't achieved their goals is because they lack discipline, or they don't have enough discipline, or they need to be more disciplined, but that's not the case. Discipline is literally forcing yourself to do something that you actually don't want to do. It's relying on motivation, willpower, self-control in order to actually push through and do the thing. And that can definitely work for a few days, a few weeks, but it's not sustainable. Devotion, on the other hand, it does not come from force, it comes from identity. When you're devoted to something, you don't constantly need to negotiate with yourself, because the action is just a reflection and representation of who you are. Someone who sees themselves as a very successful business owner doesn't have to constantly discipline themselves in order to do the work required to actually get there. They work smart and they work on the right things because that's what successful business owners do. Similarly, someone who sees themselves as a professional athlete doesn't have to discipline themselves to constantly train. They train because that's simply what athletes do. Discipline says I have to, whereas devotion says this is who I am. And in business and life, once you can unlock the devotion aspect through working on your identity, everything becomes so much easier. And because you haven't cracked this yet is probably the reason why you're stuck. You're trying to build a 7-figure business while you're in the mindset and identity of someone who's still trying to make it. You're trying to become confident while still believing that you're someone who's insecure. Your identity will always, always win. No matter how many strategies you try, how many courses you buy, how much investments you make in yourself, you'll eventually return to what feels familiar and normal to you, unless the story that you believe about yourself changes. The cheat code is to identify and become the type of person to which the actions and inputs required to get you to that next level become normal. Because once you change your identity, action will naturally follow. Instead of asking yourself, oh, how can I be more consistent? Ask yourself, who do I need to become for these actions to feel normal? Everyone has this thing called their identity thermostat. You're always, always, always going to return to what feels normal for you. So you need to ask yourself, what income feels normal to you right now? What level of success feels normal to you right now? What physique or fitness level feels normal to you right now? What is your baseline? Because that is your identity thermostat. For an example, with this room I'm in right now, the thermostat's set to 22 degrees Celsius. Doesn't matter if the room gets a little bit cooler or drops down to 18, the thermostat will kick in and bring it back up to 22. And similarly, let's say for some reason the room gets hotter and goes up to 25, the thermostat's going to kick in and bring it back to 22. So it doesn't really matter how hot or cold this apartment gets, it's going to keep returning to 22 degrees Celsius. And this is the exact same with your health goals, your income goals, your relationship goals, your physique goals. For every single area of your life, you have an identity thermostat. An income level, a physique, a level of success that feels normal to you. And what is normal to you will always return to you. If your identity thermostat is set at someone who makes 10k per month, then it doesn't matter if you have a good month. Let's say you shoot up to 20k a month, the thermostat will kick in and bring you right back down to 10. Or let's say you have a shit month and you only make 5k, your thermostat will kick in and bring you back up to 10 the next month. It doesn't matter if you have a really good month. Let's say the next month you hit 20k, but your identity thermostat, which is your identity, is still set at 10k per month. You will self-sabotage, you'll take the wrong action, you'll make the wrong decisions, which will bring you right back to your baseline of 10k a month the next month after. And the exact same if you have a bad month. Let's say you have a bad month and hit 5k. You will instantly up the gas, up the actions, up the inputs that will bring you right back to your baseline of 10k a month again. It's like that is your ceiling. You cannot break past it. And most people then they try to outwork this identity ceiling. They try to do more action, do more input, but that's not how it works. In order to actually level up, you need to remove the ceiling so then you can just shoot up. Before you do that, everything's going to feel hard. It's going to feel like a lot of pressure, a lot of force, a lot of work. Inputs are going to feel hard. Scaling your business is going to feel hard. It's going to literally feel like you're pushing a boulder up a hill. But when you can just increase that ceiling, everything changes. Your business literally feels like a snowball that's gathering momentum rolling down a hill. So how do we actually go about changing and rewiring our self-image and our identity so we can actually get the results we want and not continuously be blocked by that ceiling? The first thing, again, as we know, our brain actually cannot tell the difference between something that's real or something that we vividly imagine. Because right now, if I was to ask you to imagine a time in your life when you did something really embarrassing. Because right now, if I was to get you to think of a time in your life when you did something really embarrassing, like something so cringy, and I tell you now, sit there for a second and really bring yourself back to that moment, visualize, think of it in vivid detail. Your body is actually going to start reacting as if the experience is happening right now. You might start sweating, your palms might get all sweaty, your heart's going to beat a bit faster, and it literally feels like the experience is occurring right now in this present moment, which is crazy. So the same applies for an event that hasn't happened yet. When you visualize something in the future that you want to occur, your body literally reacts as if it's already occurred, and it's literally reprogramming and rewiring your mind in real time. And again, there's been crazy scientific studies done on this. There was one where a test group of people were taken to go out and exercise, and another test group of people were put in a room and had to vividly imagine doing the exercise. And the results in terms of how much calories they burned ended up being the same. And there was another study where there was two test groups, and one test group was taught to play the piano, and the other group was taught to play the piano, but there was no real piano there. They were taught by visualization, visualizing the keys and visualizing the music, and the outcome ended up being the same. Both test groups could play the tune. So this just shows how powerful our minds are, and you can actually rewire and reprogram your mind through visualization. In regards to identity, this is where mental rehearsal comes in. This is how you can shift your self-image and how you view yourself. You want to write in detail, what is that highest version of yourself? How do they show up? How do they act? How do they think? How do they view themselves? And then you want to visualize you acting in alignment with those qualities. The different brainwaves that humans go into is beta, then alpha, then theta, and delta. Theta is when our minds are most programmable. That's when we're really relaxed, really zen, really chill. A lot of that time our brains are in theta waves. Like right before we go to sleep at night, that is a little window of opportunity to reprogram your subconscious mind. First thing we wake up in the morning, same as. Or if you just take 10-15 minutes to sit down, to do some deep breaths, to think about nothing and essentially meditate, our brain starts going into theta waves as well, and that's when our minds are most programmable. So after you've got really clear on that identity of the person who has the thing you want, you can bring yourself into this theta brainwave state through meditation or right before you go to sleep, and you can imagine in vivid detail you acting like that version of yourself. And that is literally going to rewire your brain and the neural pathways in your brain in real time to make those actions so much easier for you to do on a day-to-day basis. And also, with any singular goal that you want to achieve, whatever it may be, I'm just going to take the goal of 50k a month as an example. It's never the goal we want, it's the feeling that we think the goal is going to bring us. So take the goal that you actually want to achieve right now, and I want you to write down the 3 core emotions that you would feel if you already had that goal. So let's say for the goal of 50k a month, you might feel more joy, you might feel more secure, and you might feel more peaceful if you had that goal achieved already. And see, where most people go wrong is they think that they need a thing in order to achieve the feeling. We can just cut out the middleman and jump straight to the feeling. When we do that, we end up achieving the goal so much faster. So write down the 3 core feelings that you would feel once you accomplish the goal you want, and then ask yourself, how can I feel these feelings as much as possible now on my day-to-day basis? And you're going to quantum leap so much faster to that goal because you're going to be on the frequency of that goal. Again, we'll go into this in much more depth in another video, but the language of the universe is emotion. So when you're radiating the frequency as if you've already accomplished the goal, that is exactly what's going to be given to you. And the second way to rewire and completely change your identity is called the relaxed and rich method. When you're calm and you're going about your day-to-day inputs in a very calm, chill way, your brain is at the highest potential that it can operate on. See, most of us are so tense going about our day-to-day, like we're sitting at our desk, we're tapping our pen, our backs are like crunched over, your body is tense, you're fidgeting, and you're just feeling kind of stressed out, you're rushing, your mind's racing, and that is a sign your nervous system's going very fast. So it's time to reverse that if you want to shift your identity, because you can only access your subconscious mind when you're in a state of calmness. So when you're operating on a day-to-day in that state of calmness, your intuition is going to be a lot more clear, and you're going to be actually given nudges to take the right actions in order to get you to your goals so much faster. And it brings us way more into the present moment where we could just focus on the next step in front of us, because a lot of the time we waste so much time overthinking, over planning, over stressing. But when we're just focused on the next action that is right in front of us, we're going to do that action to a lot higher standard, a lot better quality, and we're going to produce a lot better outcomes from those actions that we're doing as well. And then actually just having a clear game plan for your day is a game changer, because when you're waking up in the morning and you have no idea what you're doing, it's so easy to just be blowing around like a feather in the wind. But when you clearly know what you need to do in accordance with the highest version of yourself, it's going to be a lot easier and a lot more chill to actually execute on doing that. So before you go to sleep every single night, ask yourself, step into that highest self identity and ask yourself, what is 3 things that I need to do tomorrow in order to make tomorrow a success? And these are going to be your daily non-negotiables. It's a compound of all the small things you do on a day-to-day basis that lead to huge things over time. So every single night before you go to sleep, you want to have clarity on what are those 3 things that you need to do the next day, and you're just going to make your life so much easier as well, because there's going to be less thought involved in operating as the highest version of yourself. When you have so much clarity on what you need to do, you're not wasting time going into decision fatigue, wondering, should I do this, should I do that, what should I work on today? You just have that clear game plan that all you have to do is execute on as well. Going to make your life so much easier. And this is a lot of the work I do with my clients in depth. We start with identity and completely reprogram your self-concept, how you view yourself and your subconscious mind. And then we build you an absolutely magnetic personal brand that brings you consistent lead flow and helps you scale your business very consistently. And lastly, back-end systems to make sure that your time is not constantly attached to your growth, so you can actually scale a business and create freedom for yourself. So if you are an entrepreneur who wants to scale without sacrificing yourself, just tap the link in my bio to apply and we can chat. Really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, subscribe, rate 5 stars, and we'll be back next week with another banger. See you later.